Do you ever look at your bank balance at the end of the month and feel frustrated because you know you make good money, but it just feels like there's never enough left over? I see this all the time in my coaching work. We look at the numbers together, and on paper, everything feels tight. But then we find hundreds to thousands of dollars slipping through the cracks on things that don't even bring real joy. If you're tired of that post-purchase regret and want to feel in control of where your paycheck is going, you're in the exact right place. Because when you keep running on this hamster wheel, working an incredibly hard job just to pay bills, and random items that you don't remember buying a week later, it's exhausting. And it just makes you feel like you're just bad with money, when the truth is you haven't been shown how to stop the leakage. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to rewire your brain's response to impulse spending so that you don't have to deal with the cycle of buyer's remorse. A simple way to identify the hidden traps that trick us into buying things that we don't even care about a week later, and the practical strategies that you can put in place today to effortlessly keep more money in your bank account without ever feeling like you're depriving yourself. Think about the last time you decided to clean out your closet or your junk drawer. You start pulling things out, and inevitably, you find items that you completely forgot you even owned. There's shirts with tags still on them, kitchen gadgets that you only used once, or maybe it's a subscription box that you've been paying for but haven't actually opened in a few months. When you bought this thing, your brain gave you a hit of excitement. You genuinely felt like you needed them in that moment. But once the novelty wore off, it just became clutter. That's because our spending triggers are deeply emotional, not logical. Most of the time, we're not buying the item itself, we're buying a feeling. And the modern financial system has gotten real good at using that psychology against us, completely bypassing the internal filters that we used to use to keep our spending in check. Just think about how easy it is to buy something now. You're sitting on the couch in the evening, scrolling through your phone, and an ad pops up for something that looks interesting. You tap your screen twice, Face ID confirms your identity, and just like that, the item's on the way to your house. You didn't have to get up, you didn't have to pull out your wallet, and you didn't even have to type in a card number. It's completely effortless. But that effortlessness is a massive trap, because the process of spending money becomes completely seamless. It feels like there's no real money leaving us. If you're sciencey like me, this will interest you. A few years ago, researchers at MIT decided to look into exactly what happens in our brains when we buy things. They placed people inside a functional MRI scanner and tracked their brain activity while they were making purchasing decisions. What they discovered was incredible. When people paid for items using physical cash, the pain center of their brain, the same area that lights up when you stub your toe or scrape your knee, activated. There was a literal physical ache when parting with the cash. But when those same people use credit cards or digital payments, that pain center stayed completely dark, while the reward centers in their brain lit up. The modern financial system has essentially engineered a way to surgically remove the pain of paying from our brains. They've taken the brakes off the system and stepped entirely on the gas. So if you've been struggling with impulse buys, I want you to realize this is not a reflection of you having bad willpower or being irresponsible. Your brain is simply navigating a system that they pay big bucks for to make you spend money without ever feeling it really happen. So how do we fight back against a system that makes spending so frictionless? We do it by intentionally creating friction. We have to slow the process down so that our rational brains can actually get a vote. And the easiest way is to build in some rules for ourselves. First one is the 48-hour rule. This is perfect for those mid-sized, everyday impulse buys. Imagine you're scrolling online at midnight and you find a pair of shoes or home decor items that you absolutely need. Instead of hitting buy, add it to your cart and wait 2 days. What you'll find most of the time is when those 48 hours are up, the initial hit of excitement, that little dopamine spike, has completely worn off. Most of the time, you realize that you didn't even really want the item. You just wanted that rush you felt when thinking about buying it. Now, if it's a larger purchase, consider a 30-day rule. Decide for yourself what that number is. You could start at $100, but you choose what item makes sense for your budget and your income. For these items, keep a running list in your phone. Write down the item, the price, and the date that you found it. Then leave it alone for a month. This gives you the space to ask yourself, does this purchase really align with my bigger goals, like traveling, having more freedom, or is it just another piece of temporary clutter? The beauty of this strategy is that you're not telling yourself no, because telling yourself no all the time just feels restrictive, and eventually you rebel against it. Instead, you're telling yourself, not right now. You're giving your brain time to clear out that emotional fog so that you can make a choice that you feel good about now and later. Now, if you want to put these time-based rules in place, there's going to be times where you feel the pull to buy something now, regardless. Usually, this pull isn't about the item itself, but how we're feeling either physically or emotionally. When you're working an incredibly demanding job, managing a crazy schedule, and feeling completely drained, sticking to a budget or a plan can feel oppressive. So you might rebel a little bit. And we can use shopping as a quick and easy way to get control back. To stop that cycle, you need to check in with yourself before making that choice. The HALT method is a simple tool that you can use to do this. HALT stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. So the next time you're in a store with a cart full of things that you did not intend to buy, or you're about to click complete purchase on a massive online order after a brutal shift at work, I want you to pause and run through those 4 words. Ask yourself, am I actually hungry right now? Am I angry or frustrated about something that happened today? Am I feeling a little bit isolated and looking for connection? Or am I just completely and utterly exhausted? Most of the time, you'll find that you fit in one of these categories. And once you recognize that, you recognize the situation for what it is. You don't actually need that random convenience item or that new piece of home decor to fix your day. What you actually need is a real meal, a good night's sleep, or a conversation with a friend. By identifying the real underlying leak, you can actually give the comfort that you're looking for without forcing your bank account to pay the price for it. Once you start plugging those emotional leaks and slow down your spending, something real interesting happens. You finally start to see extra money sitting in your bank account. But there's another trap that can happen to high earners, and that's lifestyle creep. You know how this goes. You get a promotion, a bonus at work, and you feel so excited. But then even with all this, 6 months later, you look at your bank account and it's barely moved. Why does that happen? Because as our income increases, our expectations and definitions for what we need tend to rise right along with it. The goalpost just keeps moving. To break this cycle, you need to understand the fundamental difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. Looking rich is incredibly easy to do today. It means that you're displaying your current income through physical objects, luxury items, and endless conveniences. It's what we show off to satisfy our ego or to meet the expectations of people around us. But true wealth, not as visible. Wealth is the hidden gap between what you make and what you spend. True savings happens when you're intentional with that gap. There's a famous contrast in financial history that illustrates this well. There's a man named Ronald Read. He worked as a small-town gas station attendant and janitor for his entire life. He didn't make a high income, but he was highly intentional with his money. When he passed away, he left behind an $8 million fortune. Now let's contrast him with Richard Fusco. He was a Harvard-educated Wall Street executive, earning millions of dollars a year, living in an 18,000 square foot home with multiple swimming pools. But because his spending had absolutely no filters, no guardrails, he took on massive debt and was ultimately forced to declare bankruptcy. This just goes to show you that financial peace of mind has almost nothing to do with how smart you are or even how much money you make. It has everything to do with your behavior and your ability to dodge those psychological triggers. True wealth doesn't look like an object that you can stick in your closet. True wealth looks like flexibility, freedom, less stress, the ability to control your time. Once you start closing these spending loops and reclaiming that unallocated money, the very next thing you need to figure out is how to grow that balance as fast as possible and exactly where to keep that money so you're not tempted to touch it. To make that completely seamless, click here to learn 10 simple tips for saving as much money as possible. I'll see you over there.